hot and heavy.
We're live.
I was trying to do some narrative voiceover stuff on GarageBand just
Whoa.
barely, and I couldn't figure it out.
Coming in hot, Casey. You're coming in hot, dude. Yeah. Slow your roll. Turn your game down.
All the way down.
Casey's always redlining.
I want the people at home to hear
Always
me.
redlining. There you go. That's a little better. We're live, and today's a big day. Yesterday was a bigger day, but today's a big day because we're following up from yesterday, which was a huge day. If you somehow missed the memo, the communication through the webs, through the socials, we're giving away an elk hunt. Pretty sweet one at that, in one of our favorite places. And we are going to just reminisce a little bit about why we love the area as much as we do. We love elk hunt, I think, more than anything. But maybe talk about, we got a lot of history down south, talk through some of those little stories, talk through some more details of what this giveaway hunt entails. Casey, Eric, thoughts, gentlemen?
Yeah, so hopefully you guys watched the video from yesterday. If you have not, go make sure you do that. But the cat is out of the bag. We are giving away the ultimate elk experience. Is that what we're calling it? The ultimate elk experience?
I mean,
The ultimate New Mexico elk hunt experience.
That's proper. Yeah, it really is going to be an experience, because not only are you going to get a really cool tag in one of our favorite places to hunt, New Mexico, but we're going to be there with you. One of us is going to have a tag, so we're going to be hunting together. We're going to be sharing camp together. This is all going to be ran through a good friend of ours. His name is Chris Geikema, owns Compass West Outfitters. He's been an outfitter in New Mexico for, I think, 20 plus years. He's
long time.
Solid dude himself. He's an elk killing machine, but the people that work for him are just as good as well. He runs a super rad camp. And then we're going to film and document the whole thing like we normally would. And Logan's going to, whoever wins this, Logan's going to put together a media package with pictures, video, raw video, and an edited version and give it to you. So I really think it's not just an elk hunt, but it's going to be the whole ultimate experience.
And obviously, aside from the tag, right, there's a lot of goodies.
We're going to be a lot of it.
Yeah, we're going to get you guys outfitted to go on a hunt with us. But like Casey said, it's more than just simply getting to go on an elk hunt, I think, which is the most recommended thing we do, right? When we've asked our audience, like, hey guys, what would you like to see next? What opportunities would you like to have? A chance to come hunt with us is easily number one. But on top of that, I think it's going to be fun for whoever gets to come to kind of see behind the scenes of, making our YouTube videos and kind of running the back end of stuff. So one of you guys, hopefully one of you listening, is going to get a chance to come hunt elk in New Mexico and get that full experience with us. And we are so excited to do it. Probably one of the most exciting hunts I'm looking forward to this fall is a chance to hunt with somebody watching.
Yeah. It's, last year we did our first like real big giveaway it was the Can-Am Defender. A gentleman, ironically enough, from New Mexico won it, Isaac. And I think he said he made like one or two purchases for a total of around $55, something like that. So it was crazy to see, again, the way it works is basically every dollar spent on the website gets you entered in, whether it's a decal, whether it is a koozie, a hoodie, a hat, game bags, anything counts. And that's how it's kind of compiled. We hire a third-party sweepstakes company that handles everything. So we don't deal with it. In regards to the legalities, we have a sweepstakes attorney that takes care of that. And then they're the same folks that'll actually select the winner. They record it. Is all very legitimate. And this one will be really cool just because it is different. And yeah, with any luck, it's somebody that's listening, that's the lucky ticket.
Yeah, I mean, you think about, I was been thinking like, who would like be the ultimate like winner? I think for me anyway, it'd be somebody that's never actually got to experience the elk woods. Maybe somebody back east or somebody in the Midwest that's always wanted to go elk hunting. And they win this and they come out and get to experience elk hunting with us for the first time. But it could be anybody. Like Brian said, a third-party sweepstakes does it. It's literally like, all these names in a hat and they randomly select the winner. So yeah, you could literally buy $5 worth of stuff and have your name in 5 times, or you could have your name in there 1,000 times. Obviously, what's that?
I was just going to clarify too, like this giveaway runs. So it started on yesterday, which is the 19th of April, and it will conclude at midnight on the 23rd of May. And then pretty shortly thereafter, we'll be selecting a winner. The goal, I think, would be by the end of May, we will have contact with the person selected, and then we can start working through the details and the logistics. There's another caveat to this too that I think is kind of cool. The tag is fully transferable. So if you happen to win and you wanted to gift it to maybe a son, a daughter, a spouse, a friend, I mean, you're totally at liberty to do that. The only thing is they got to make sure that they're legal to hunt within the state of New Mexico regulations. So basically your hunter's education, you've hunted in other states, and those would be the key kind of components, which will all be listed in kind of the specific details. But that's a cool component, I think, is the transferability of the tag.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's, you can give it to your kid, you can give it to your spouse, a buddy, or you can keep it yourself.
Yeah. So there's a pile of gifts too. They're going to come along with it. Like Eric alluded to, you're going to be really dialed pre-hunt. So the hunt is going to be scheduled for October this year, 2021. We will kind of talk through the specific details once a winner's been selected and get everything kind of squared away from a logistics, a travel standpoint, get dates on the calendar. And again, the winner should be contacted about around, start of June, let's say. So you've got a good amount of time to plan. You are the lucky person. But the laundry list of goodies is a good one. So to begin, first and foremost, you're going to need a rifle. You may have one, you may not. We are going to give you one of the Weatherby Vanguard Hush Edition rifles, more than likely in the caliber 7M or 300 Weatherby would be the two probably primary options. You're going to get a full kit from our friends at First Light, so you'll be taken care of from your gear standpoint. You will receive a Vortex Optics package, so an HSLR scope to be mounted on your new rifle, a rangefinder, binoculars, both critical components. You're going to get a pack from our friends at Exo Mountain Gear. So you'll have a brand new pack. You'll have boots from our friends at Holland Wog. You will have a YETI cooler and accessory package. You will have a Camp Chef cooking package. You will have a phone scope. You'll have an OnX Elite membership, which gets you access to all 50 states in the US. What am I missing? The list goes on and on, really.
We could probably throw in like a Hush hat, maybe a shirt. No, that's a lot of stuff, man.
Definitely a goodie package.
Yeah, we'll definitely hook you guys up with a goodie package. But thanks to our partners, I really believe that we work with some of the best companies in this industry, not only because of their great products, but because who's behind the company. And every time we do these fun giveaways, which you guys know, we do a lot of our Hush VIP giveaways on our text thread, which you can join by sending Hush VIP to 29071, just so you guys make sure you get in all those giveaways. But yeah, huge shout out to our partners that seem to always contribute and are always on board when we do fun stuff like this. But yeah, this is a New Mexico elk hunt. And like Brian said in the beginning, we have a lot of history in New Mexico, which really goes back to how these two met. Bmack and Casey actually met through hunting in New Mexico. So for many reasons, it's a special place. And we wanted to hop on here and share some of our all-time favorite memories and some of our elk hunts that we've done in the state, starting with, Casey and Bmack.
Yeah, one last thing too, before we jump into that detail, is the hunt will be a 5-day hunt, and it will be during either the first rifle season or the second rifle season. Again, we're going to get those specifics figured out once the winner's been selected. But me and Case, we go way back to the old New Mexico days. The first time I ever met Casey Butler was in the middle of nowhere in an elk camp. And he was telling me about this thing called YouTube he did and how he had it as a job. And my friend Tony and I were like, what are you talking about? And Casey started to explain what YouTube was. And we're like, yeah, dude, we understand what YouTube is, but how on earth is it your career? Like, what are you talking about? This was in 2012, mind you.
I wish we would have had that conversation recorded because even though you guys gave me a hard time, I think it was probably the best explanation of what YouTube was, how you make money on it, and how I got into it. Probably the
Yeah,
best
it was good.
time I've ever explained it. And you guys just made fun of me because it was so in depth.
It was just so fascinating to me. You know, I was working in a septic sales position, commercial account manager at a septic company. You could throw a lot of jokes in around that job. And yeah, so it was just like very bizarre that you could do this. And at the time, it was Hushin with Levere, and you had maybe posted like a couple videos by that point in time when you were down there filming my dad and I's hunt. You hadn't put a ton of stuff up. You'd started the channel the year before with like maybe a quick video, and then you just started developing some base level content. But I think you had like a deer hunt down there and our elk hunts, and that was kind of like the first couple videos that were really getting going. You had a couple with your brother and your dad, but it was fascinating. And I started applying for this out of state tags back probably in 2009 or 10. So I was living in Oregon. I was just interested in exploring. And we met a friend of ours, Cody Lujan, who just lived down there, knew a lot about stuff. We were on the old hunting forums. So back then, to try to figure out like how to hunt different states, it was like Hunting Fool, Eastman's, Monster Muleys, Ridgeline Outdoors, Coos Whitetail. Like there's a ton of hunting forums. And that was predominantly where you would like, you know, there wasn't much social media. Instagram didn't really exist with any kind of leverage. Facebook was pretty new, you know, as far as being used widely in that capacity. Virtually no hunting videos on YouTube on any regularity. It was predominantly outdoor television. So we started talking to our buddy Cody, and I ended up drawing New Mexico in 2010 for my very first hunt. And I never forget the first time being down there outside of Oregon, and just that, like that allure of like, there's some really big bulls down here. And you could come around a corner and just see like this dream bull. And I remember being down there opening morning for archery, and I passed like a nice 6-point at 40 yards opening morning because I was like, dude, it's my first morning. You know, it's probably like a 320 type bull, great bull, never killed anything close to it. And I passed it. And in hindsight, I'm like, what was I even thinking? But there's elk screaming everywhere. And, you know, there's that thing in your head, like, man, what am I going to see out here? And that was my first taste of hunting out of state, and happened to be in New Mexico.
Yeah, I mean, so that was 2009. You applied and drew the tag, or 2010. I kind of did the same thing. Like I would reference it back to when I was a kid and I used to read Bugle magazine. Like I think back then they would send out 6 issues a year. My dad was, you know, a member of Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation. So you get the Bugle magazine. I just clearly remember reading about the Gila National Forest multiple times as a kid. And then when I grew up and started this little hush thing, I was like, man, I should really start applying for New Mexico. And that was in 2012. And first year ever putting in, I did a little research on some units in the Gila, and I drew my first archery tag down there. And, you know, going back to the forums, I met the same guy that Brian met, Cody Lujan from New Mexico. His name would always pop up when I type in this unit number. And so he agreed to like kind of go take me down there and show me what he knew. And then he came and helped me on my archery hunt. And then that year, Brian and his dad both had rifle tags. And he said, hey, my buddies have rifle tags. You come back and film it for your channel. I said, great. So that's basically, I drove all through the night to meet Cody in Albuquerque. And then we drove another 4 hours or so and literally met Brian and Tony down on the Gila, and had an exceptional hunt. Filmed Terry, Brian's dad, kill a bull opening day, super rad bull. And then Brian ended up killing a super rad bull a couple days later and filmed that. And it was kind of the start of our friendship.
It really was. And then you got lucky enough and drew a tag the following year. And in 2013, Logie Bear had just graduated high school. So he was out traipsing around with you, filming you. And that was the first experience meeting Logan. We had another really enjoyable hunt. We had some setbacks. We got Casey's truck just buried to the axles. And we are in the middle of nowhere, 0 cell phone service. We're digging and digging and digging, not making any kind of headway. Lo and behold, man, we found a random truck drive by. It was a big old school Suburban. And he happened to have the right tools and a little bit of know-how, and he popped us out of that thing. And I have this vision of Logan just sleeping, go figure, getting the shots back then
On the
in
road.
the middle of the road, just waiting to just please somebody, anybody, will you drive by? And we got lucky. But we ended up killing a bull that night.
Yes, we did.
After that setback. And it was a great bull. That was a really cool experience.
And then,
and that kind of leads us to 2015, right? Like,
was it 20? I was trying to think
movie.
of the year that Hushlife the movie was filmed, 2015. Yeah. So same thing, Eric. We all kind of get together on this thing and start working on Hush together. And Eric's going full time on it. And we recommend, hey man, put in for these units down in New Mexico. First time ever putting in, he draws a tag, which was awesome. I think he drew the second archery tag down there.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up finding a Landowner tag that I bought for the first archery season, and we started that hunt out in northern New Mexico with 2 antelope tags in my pocket.
Little pronghorn hunting, which is, it's a beautiful state to chase pronghorn. Shot really lots of options there.
Shot some pronghorn, and then Brian flew home because he was working full time, and me and Eric headed down south and went and hunted 14, 15 days.
Yeah, we did your hunt beginning to end, which first archery, I believe, was like the 1st through the 14th.
Yeah.
Something like that. And then the second archery would pick up as soon as that one ended, which is the tag I had. So lucky for me, we had 14 days of scouting lined up and 14 days of experience and knowledge. And we hunted Casey's tag all the way to the second to last day, which was super cool. And for those who have watched Hushlife, the movie, the original one, you see that Casey tagged out on the second to last day, which gave us the next day to kind of take care of meat, get it to the locker and everything, and then go back out there for my hunt, which started the very next day after that. But yeah, like Casey said, these guys introduced me to hunting in New Mexico. And shoot, dude, that wasn't even that long ago. And I still feel like to this day for myself, like hunting out of state is fairly new. Like I'm still struggling with the application process. I always seem to forget this time of the year to apply. But that was the first time I applied to New Mexico. And if I understand it right from what some locals told me, I drew one of 3 non-resident tags for that unit. So I was like, dude, this is the best state in the world, because it took me 11 years to draw a decent elk tag here in Utah. So yeah, that was just a super fun trip that started out hunting pronghorn, like you said, and then carried on through the elk hunt.
You got lucky because I believe it was the year after. So I drew the archery tag the first year I put in 2012. And then I drew the rifle tag in 2013. I think after 2013 is when they changed how many non-resident tags they were giving out. So I was the same way. I put in 2 years in a row and drew 2 really good tags. I was like, man, this state's great. And then they made the changes. And so you got lucky in 2015 when you drew that tag. And I don't think any of us have drawn an elk tag since then.
It's been tough, man. It's tough sledding. I think you could say that for a lot of Western states. We were talking about this on the other podcast last week, but realistically, numbers are up, especially from 2020 to 2021. Montana, New Mexico, I think Wyoming, Colorado, every Western state is seeing a really big increase in non-resident applications. I do think a lot of it has to do with like the COVID situation where more people are, they have autonomy because they're working from a home office. I think people are getting antsy and just burning points. Canada's been closed down, which limits opportunities for guys to go hunt up there. Alaska's been more challenging to get into. So there's just more pressure put on the, a variety of states and stuff. And a lot of tags are harder to get now if you're a non-resident, from Idaho to Montana to New Mexico. A lot of different bills have been introduced to even reduce that percentage of tag for non-residents even more so. So it's pretty special when you draw one, that's for sure. And New Mexico doesn't have a preference point system, unlike a lot of Western states like Utah, for example. So it kind of is the luck of the draw, but you're just like, to Eric's point, you're arguing over a couple tags. Like you got to get super lucky to get one. But the flip side of that, New Mexico, unlike a lot of Western states, does have tags available to purchase through landowners. There's a process and a system landowners can go through to get tags where they can essentially sell them. And it's a blend between ranch only, which means you'd have to hunt within the confines of their property, or unit-wide tag where you can hunt in the entire unit. And those range in price depending on supply and demand, depending on availability, depending on who you know, in the sense that if you know the actual landowner, you're going to pay less than if you are trying to brokerage a tag through maybe a guide and outfitter, maybe just a tag broker. There's a lot of those. But there is options. It gives you options if you don't necessarily have any luck in the draw, you got a little extra cash, you might be able to pick up a tag. And there's, Utah has that, Nevada has that. There's a handful of states where you can purchase tags on that accord. Unlike, for example, Wyoming, where you can't do that. You can't purchase any tags. You got to, unless it's like a super raffle or whatever, but you got to draw it. But it's definitely been good to us. Those first years were amazing. It's much harder to draw now. But we also visited there in 2017 with our good friend Adam Weatherby. Did a really fun hunt with him. And that's how we met Chris, actually, who runs Compass West, and he's going to be the one running this hunt. It was a funny story because we were camping in a particular area and we kept getting back to camp. There'd be these random things strewn about our camp, like elk legs and some like, what the heck is going on? Like,
yeah, so
this is so bizarre.
A little backstory about Chris. I don't know if you remember this, Brian, but I knew who Chris was through Cody Lujan, who we met.
Oh yeah,
right.
Sure. Yep.
Cody knew Chris Geikema, and I had drawn in 2012 a deer tag in the northern part of the state of New Mexico, and I think I actually quizzed Chris about it because he had guided up there. But yeah, we got a pin dropped from a local down there when Brian and Adam Weatherby had tags of a place to camp. And it was funny because we were camping this really cool spot, and it was a strategic spot because you could actually glass a lot of country from there, but we weren't taking advantage of that. We'd wake up, 4:35 in the morning, driving an hour to different locations and hunting. And what these guys were doing was basically getting up at light, driving to our camp and glassing elk from our camp. And so after the first day, we get back to camp and there's just an elk hoof sitting in the middle of like a fire ring. And we're like, was that here before? And we went into this deep, like, how did that get here? Like somebody like trying to tell us something. It was kind of funny. And it happened like 2 or 3 more times where we'd come back and there'd just be like elk legs. And finally, I think it was on Instagram, Chris reached out to us and was like, hey, I killed out all my hunters this week. If you guys need some help, let me know. Type of deal. And
yeah, so he basically was like, you boys are working too hard.
Yeah.
And we were getting into elk every day. I mean, there was no shortage of elk. We were seeing a pile of them. They were either like broken. I know opening morning, there's a real nice one, but he was broke that Eric and Adam were on, or maybe just like a little younger age class. But we were in elk and having a blast every single day. And then we'd get home at past dark. So we were really never in our camp and light to even see what the heck it offered, because we pulled up in the dark and then went hunting like the next day in the dark. And yeah, we're just missing out. Sure enough, yeah, we ended up seeing a bunch of elk real close to camp. And Chris and one of his guys that was just, they're done, totally done. They're just hanging out with us. And it was really cool to kind of get to meet him and just hear a little bit more about his story guiding and, how he got into it. And they just run a really nice operation down there. So we've always just maintained a friendship since that time. And when we were trying to identify where would be the greatest place to hold, this elk hunt giveaway, clearly New Mexico was right up on the list. We considered some stuff in Utah too, but ultimately we settled on New Mexico because there's just like that blend of intrigue and potential trophy quality down there that we couldn't necessarily have gotten, in the likes of maybe Colorado or some of the stuff we looked at in Utah. So that's where we decided on. Chris said he'd be more than happy to help us out, and couldn't be more thrilled to get back down there. From that hunt, both Adam and I were fortunate enough to take bulls, and then Eric and Casey that had some pretty nice years down there more recently.
Yeah, just these last couple of years, I've been able to hook up with my buddy Dreo down there and hunt the northern part of the state, which isn't typically known for like as big of bulls maybe as the Gila or the southern units. They're probably a little more desired. But I've had some great hunts with Jordan and Ben and Bridget last year, and I've been able to take 2 bulls the last couple of years down there with Dreo with his help and his local knowledge. So just again, man, we have so many great hunts down in New Mexico, and we've been lucky enough to kill some really cool bulls. Like, the bulls you guys got early on obviously have their own character. Bmack's bull with Adam on that hunt, just these two cheaters coming out off the Royals, which funny enough, like mine and Casey's both had similar things these last year, kind of that crotch point after the Royal in between the fifth. So we've just had some great times down there, and even kind of flashing back to the Hushlife, the movie. And I think one of the reasons why it's, the ultimate New Mexico experience is because you really get a chance to see all kinds of stuff. So we'll be hunting elk, but that first time I went out there with you guys, I saw my first gray fox, like darted across the road down in that low country. And I was like, dude, coyote, what was that? I've never seen a gray fox. We saw a black bear on Casey's archery elk hunt. We came out and we got a whiff of, clearly something was dead close by, and I went to investigate it, and Casey spotted a really big black bear right across the canyon. So it's just one of those places where it's really rich in all kinds of wildlife, and hopefully whoever wins this will get to experience some of that cool stuff as well. Oh, and then even better than some of the wildlife was the wild onions.
Oh yeah.
I've never seen anything like that, but Casey and I spent hours, when the hunts were slow, just collecting these little onions and peeling them. And heck, by the time you're done, they're basically the size of a Skittle or an M&M. And we did some really fun cooking videos with those wild onions. So it's just a really cool place, and it's so different than like what I'm used to here in Utah. So I'm excited for someone to get to experience all of that stuff.
Yeah, I would agree. New Mexico is a really, really cool place. The Gila is cool. Where we hunted with Brian and Adam, super cool. It's the same. It's just different country, man. It's just very different than what, like, I grew up hunting here in Idaho or even in Utah, right? Mm-hmm. There are rattlesnakes down there, and I've come across multiple rattlesnakes numerous times, and I don't like rattlesnakes, but yeah, it's just cool. Like the Indian culture, I think, is so cool down there. We found a lot of arrowheads while we've been tromping around New Mexico as well, which I think is probably the coolest thing ever, is to see something, an artifact that proves to you that there were people there before you hunting thousands of years ago, which is pretty neat.
Yeah, very neat. There's rich history in New Mexico. Is arguably one of the greatest places to hunt. Obviously, if you're a resident, a little bit easier, but the land of enchantment is certainly that. From north to south, east to west, there's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of different species in New Mexico too. Eric alluded to a couple that you saw. The javelina is a potential to see down there, and then they've got some cool stuff. They have the Barbary sheep, or Aoudad, is in New Mexico, which is kind of a little bit unique, other than maybe some parts of Texas. Then you've got the ibex, which is a very unique species, very hard to draw. Then you've got the oryx, which is basically like an African gemsbuck that has found a home in New Mexico that's thrived, frankly. Those tags are very difficult to draw, but if you're lucky enough, the table fare is incredible. And just a really crazy experience to, like, imagine chasing like an African gemsbuck antelope in the middle of New Mexico. Like, what? It's super crazy. So they got some cool stuff. They've got great Mexican gray wolves down there, which is different, like a smaller subspecies of a wolf, and some Gould's turkeys. Further south, get some Coues deer, mule deer, pretty good amount of mule deer, a lot of pronghorn. So just a pile of different species. Again, if you live in the Midwest or maybe even the northern part of the country, you just maybe wouldn't have a chance to see any of that stuff. Walk us through, guys, what the winner can expect from like hunting stylistically, what the hunt would entail.
Well, so what I can tell you, we know it's going to be a rifle hunt. It's going to be in October. They run, I think, 2 different rifle seasons. I don't know the exact dates, but basically what we're waiting on is the landowner tags to actually be drawn by the landowners, and then we'll know more about exactly where we're going to be hunting. But what I can tell you is New Mexico is such a unique place, because I really feel like it's kind of like the Colorado deer thing. You if you've ever heard somebody talk about deer hunting in Colorado that has done it, is you could literally kill a 200 inch buck anywhere in Colorado, right? Like there's just some giants roaming. There's some units that are better than others, but as a whole, Colorado is the state for mule deer. I kind of think that's the same with New Mexico. And I've told people this, and especially down on the Gila, it's a place that you could literally come around a corner and there could be a bull that, you know, is 400 plus inches. We've seen a handful of them down there. And I've heard and I've read, like, this goes back to like the Bugle magazine back in the day when I was a teenager, reading about the Gila monsters down there, they would call them. And the argument was, there's a couple different arguments. One argument is the largest subspecies of elk that had the largest antlers at one time were the Manitoba elk, correct? I'm looking for some reassurance here, but I'm pretty sure it's the Manitoba elk. They have the largest antlers. They believe they're now extinct, but they think the last remnants of those Manitoba elk roamed down near the Gila, and that's why the Gila and parts of New Mexico produce such big bulls. I've also heard that the soil is very high in protein or grows high protein food, which allows the animals to get bigger. Whatever reason, you literally could shoot a giant elk, I think, in pretty much anywhere in New Mexico, is my take on it. And I've seen big elk pretty much every time I've been down there to hunt.
Yeah, and it just seems like a place that has got so many places that are considered wilderness, that are roadless, which is just basically these like sanctuaries in a way. Like obviously they get hunted, horseback guys really hunt them hard, but they're almost these sanctuaries where, you know, elk can grow and get old and be undiscovered, where I feel like in Utah and some of these other states are picking up now between trail cameras and phone scope, and really, you know, a lot of people hitting these units so hard. It almost seems like every bull that gets killed here in Utah anyways is like almost known about, you know, they got his shed antlers, etc. New Mexico just seems to be like a mystery. Like you said, you don't know, you could turn around the corner at any moment and see a complete giant. But yeah, I'd say what to expect in an October hunt. The last two hunts I did in New Mexico were both October first rifle. And to be honest, I had two really different experiences. And I don't know if that had to do with weather, moon phase, whatnot. But the first year I hunted in October, it really felt like we were hunting post rut. I don't know why. Like maybe there was some action going on. I think down low where like Ben Shed Crazy was hunting, the bulls were still with the cows. The bull that I ended up shooting was just solo. He had just kind of pulled off the cows. He was kind of broke up. I'm sure he had a rough rut and was just kind of resting up. But then the next year was like rut fest. And so you definitely have a chance to catch the tail end of the rut or the second heat of those cows. I would say where we're going, I would guess that most likely you're going to see rut action. You're going to hear bugles, but there's going to be a lot of glassing involved, a lot of, you know, getting on high points and strategically using our OnX to find vantage points. So a lot of glassing, some run and gunning, and hopefully some rut action.
I would say this as well for expectations is it's kind of a mystery because New Mexico, very similar to Arizona, is very weather dependent. And that weather we're talking about is not like during the hunt, but it's actually springtime. So if they get a lot of moisture in the springtime, then the elk will finish out or grow their antlers, you know, to their full abilities. But if we've seen it in dry years where they don't have the water, the food doesn't have the protein that it needs, and these elk that, you know, maybe were 350 the year before might be stunted a little bit. But also what Chris was telling me last year, and Chris is so dialed with the elk in New Mexico that they shot a lot of broke up bulls even during the archery hunt last year. And the reason why is because they did have a really good spring. So the cows actually went into the rut really healthy, which caused a lot of the cows to go into heat at the same time. And so when that happens, you have all these cows that are in estrus, and those bulls are just going wild and fighting a lot, comparatively to maybe a year that the cows don't go into the rut as healthy. They'll go into estrus more sporadically, which will cause, you know, that one cow will get bred and, you know, the bulls aren't fighting as much or whatever it might be. But it's very weather dependent that way. But Chris is so dialed. I don't, you know, whatever happens this year. And I think we're having a great spring so far. It looks like they're getting some weather down there. They actually got a bunch of snow this year, which is crazy. But Yeah, I think no matter what the conditions are, Chris is so dialed down there that I know we're going to find some big bulls, and we're going to have a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, New Mexico weather-wise is very interesting. And I think that is part of the reason that it does grow some big elk, and you don't maybe have track of them because the monsoon season comes typically in like the summer months. So if you have a great spring, that's the first step. And then the monsoon season is when the big storms will come in, and it could just torrential downpour, dump rain in one area, then like a mile away, it could be a complete desert, or it literally looks like you're on the moon. But those monsoons, move the animals around to a degree where they're feeding. It helps them finish out on the year. And then largely a lot of like the southern part of the state isn't predicated, or there's no migration necessarily like from a snow standpoint, like you might find in Montana, Wyoming, Utah, several in Colorado, where elk will scatter and they'll move around, and their winter grounds are in a totally different spot. So even sheds, you could find them anywhere. And I think that's part of the reason it keeps the elk just a little mysterious, is that they are spread all over the place, a little harder to find, which probably does, contribute to the size of them. But I think we'll be able to make the hunt, as challenging as you want it to for whoever ends up winning. We can go pretty hard and make it difficult and tons of effort. But historically, there's no doubt that glassing on vantage points is really where you're going to, find the most amount of elk the most consistently in our experience down there. Lots and lots of glassing. And then, find like a bull or an opportunity or a good place, and you try to make a play off of that. But the lodging and whatnot, Chris has got a cool camp. So we'll have the good like food and lodging component of everything down there. That'll be very nice from an accommodation standpoint. And then if we're lucky enough to tag out, we'll have plenty of opportunities to take care of the animal, get all the meat processed accordingly. Chris has freezers down there, so you don't have to worry about anything spoiling. And then we'll figure out a logistics plan for getting all that meat back to the homestead, wherever this winter may be located. But it's going to be an absolute fantastic time. I know one thing from an expectation standpoint, we're going to have a ton of fun.
Yeah, that's kind of how we roll. The hunting thing, we can work as hard as we want. And, sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes it does. That's hunting. But the one thing that we can control is how much fun we have, how many laughs we have. But it is a grind because both the first and second rifle hunts, they're only 5-day hunts. That's all you have. So, and like Brian was saying, we can tailor this hunt to whoever wins. If they want to get after it every day, we're definitely going to do that. If whoever wins might not be able to get around as well, like we'll be able to tailor the hunt to that. And Chris is phenomenal at doing that. So, whoever wins, we'll make this hunt what you want it to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris obviously has experience guiding all kinds of people, ages, abilities. If you go to his Instagram, you can check out some of the stuff they have and some of the bulls they've killed in the past. It's their Instagram handle is at Compass West Outfitters with no spaces. But huge shout out to Chris, because one of the reasons why we haven't done a hunt giveaway, or even, people ask all the time, like, how can we win a shed hunt with you? Or these big things like this, like Brian said, are legit, and they have to be, obviously because we run a business. But with Chris, he's got the outfitting license and the permitting for us to, kind of fall under his umbrella and do this legitimately. So everything's taken care of and done the right way. And so that's kind of the reason why we can't just really just do these things on our own and use public land in that way. So huge shout out to Chris. Just want to say thanks to him for offering to help us out. And it sounds like he's super excited to do this too.
And frankly, I'm just excited to get back down there and hang out with Chris, man. He's so knowledgeable when it comes to elk. And that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
I love hunting with people that maybe have a little bit different style, or maybe they're just better at it than us, because I feel like we learn a lot by watching somebody like Chris and his guides, go to work and how they go about it, which, so for me, I'm just excited to get back down there, hang out with Chris and the guys. And like Brian said, they run a phenomenal camp. It will be a wall tent situation, most likely. It'll just be a cool elk hunt, man.
So just as a quick reminder, if you want to participate and get your name in the hat, you just got to grab something from our website, and we'll be running this thing until the 23rd of May at midnight. But we've got a lot of new designs that we're dropping. So We've kind of timed it in such that we've got new things to consider. So lots of new apparel designs from a t-shirt standpoint. Got maybe a couple new hoodies. We should have new hats at some point throughout the process. We've got game bags, pile of new decals and stickers, koozies. We've got a bunch of new Phelps Hush branded bugle tubes, cow calls, and man, just all kinds of goodies to get your name entered in to win. It's that simple. And again, like we said on the beginning of the show, Isaac, who won it last year, I think it was like $54 is what his total purchase value was. And he walked away with a brand new 2020 Can-Am Defender that he continues to send messages via Instagram on all of his fun excursions. He's definitely getting a heck of a lot of use out of that. And I know he's been taking it down on a bunch of hunts he's got.
Yeah, that was a super smooth like a super smooth giveaway. And, you know, we always try to make it a point to announce a winner quickly, you know, and do turnover very fast. And like these guys said earlier, we leave that up to a third party sweepstakes company. So it has nothing to do with us. You know, my dad is even always like, I'm going to win. I'm like, I don't know if I'd let you, Dad. Like,
I know I've had to tell
I'll
multiple
take it elk hunting, you know,
multiple relatives.
All of our dads.
Yeah. Like that you're excluded from this. Sorry. But
yes.
No, I think for me, and I know you guys agree, like our very favorite part of doing these giveaways is getting that person on the phone and listening to how, and we've just been super fortunate. Like everything we've ever given away, everyone has been so grateful, just so appreciative of the videos. And, you know, and we're always trying to tell you guys thank you, because you're the reason that we're able to do these giveaways and do this cool things, because you guys support us. But every time we've called somebody, they've just been so grateful and thankful. And they always tell us, you know, thanks for the videos, keep at it. So I'm so looking forward to the day that we get the list of we get the winner and we get them on the phone and just listen to their excitement.
Yep.
There's no doubt that that'll be a fun one. And it's funny too, we always take bets on, will the person answer? And generally the first call gets iced. Yeah. Because there's like, I don't know this number. And then a text message, and usually the next call is they'll answer. But it's super fun. Eric kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but we do the SMS VIP text giveaways. Those are a no purchase necessary. So once you join in on the text group, you're just automatically in it. And so those have been really fun as well, because we've been able to give away just a pile of different things, everything from, you know, Mountain Ops Hush signature series that we just did last week, to bows, to rifles, to packs, to, I mean, anything and everything we've done and we'll continue to do on the SMS front. And then, you know, we'll do one or two big giveaways, typically a year like this. Last year again was the Can-Am, and then this one is the elk hunt. So it's incredibly fun. Logie Bear is wrapping some stuff up for us on some of the promo side of the giveaway. And so if you guys saw the video that was done yesterday, Logan put all of that together. So round of applause for Logan. Thank you for your hard work.
You guys are excited. It's Casey said that to me this morning. He said, I want to win this.
I watched the video this morning. I was like, you nailed it, because I want to win this thing. But I just had this quick thought. So the first year you ever put in for New Mexico, Brian, you drew. First year I ever put in for New Mexico, I drew. First year you ever put in for New Mexico, you drew, Eric. We allowed Eric, we told Logan he had to put in this year. He might be the guy that draws the tag.
Logie Bear hunting on the elk hunt, huh?
It could happen.
It would be.
I like it.
Rad.
I want you to touch real
Logan,
quick on what the winners can expect as a media. Okay, go ahead.
Logan, have you ever killed an elk?
No, I've never even had an elk tag.
Dang.
That could be fun. That could be real fun.
That'd be how cool that would be to have two guys that's never hunted elk before in camp.
Yeah. And who knows what the winner might be a very seasoned elk hunter.
Yeah.
Or maybe they've tried elk hunting and haven't tagged out, or maybe they've never been on elk hunt in their life. That's the beauty of trying to pick a random winner, is you never know what you're going to get. We do know though that a Logie Bear has never held an elk tag. So that could be a developing story.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it all shakes out. For the media, I'm not gonna lie, I would like that to happen, but it's in the tag drawing God's hands now.
Logan's leaning towards that.
So really hoping for that.
Media standpoint, what can the winner expect from you?
So basically we're gonna take it, as any other hunt. We're gonna have 2 camera guys there, me, myself, and Matt Lee. We're gonna really cover it very well. If you guys watched the Find a Way video, if you guys ever saw that, we're probably going to film it kind of the same way. We're going to have a long lens set up, short lens set up, and these guys are going to be hunting as well. So you can expect the raw footage, all the raw footage, a ton of photos. For these guys, they're used to it. They go out hunting, they get home, and there's just all these pictures and videos. But for someone that maybe doesn't do this, it's going to be interesting for them because you're probably going to have more photos and videos than you've ever had before. But yeah, you'll get the finished video, a bunch of really cool photos, obviously, all the raw footage, basically just from the moment you win until the moment you leave, it'll be documented. So that's another big plus, I think, to the package is a lot of people don't get to experience having their own cameraman on their hunt.
I think we need to include in the prize package, whoever wins, they are going to probably be gifted a vlog camera where they can maybe do some vlogging in preparation up towards the hunt, like setting up the rifle, setting up the scope, maybe getting in some shape, maybe their travels out to elk camp. And so we're going to document the whole thing. I think it would be really cool, especially if you're not used to having a camera guy over your shoulder, that you're going to have a lifetime of memories all captured through video and pictures.
And if you are one of those people that get a little camera shy, maybe by the end of the hunt, you will not feel that way.
Yeah. So
It's gonna be awesome. Can't wait.
Yep.
Any closing thoughts as we wrap this one up? Kind of quick, kind of dirty, but just a quick reflection of what we're doing and why we're doing it and just how much we're looking forward to it. Casey?
Yeah, I just want this process to be over with, and I want to call the winner right now and just tell them you won an elk hunt, and we're so excited to take you. But once again, guys, don't just get your name in the hat. If you can afford a sticker, if you can afford a hat, whatever you can afford, get your name in the hat, because like Brian said, $54 last time was what it took to win. So just make sure that you're in play for this thing.
Absolutely, guys. So ahead of time, thanks for everybody who has already shopped our store. We really appreciate all our customers and everyone who supports the brand. Again, gethushin.com. Every dollar spent is an automatic entry to win this New Mexico elk hunt experience. And like Casey said, man, I'm so excited for the trip to meet you, to share camp with you, to share the mountain with you and make memories. And we're looking forward to it. So get your name in the hat and let's make this the best season yet.
I love it, man. Just want to wish everybody good luck that is kind enough to support this whole giveaway, and really cannot wait to get that name emailed over from the Sweepstakes company, and that we can put together a strategy to give them a phone call, see if they answer. And ultimately, we got a lot of planning once we pick that winner. Lots of stuff to figure out, lots of logistics to get situated, lots of gear to get shipped to the person, but it is going to be such an amazing time. So can't thank you guys enough for the support, and we will see you guys on the next podcast.
Thanks, guys.
Later.